before I introduce Rio Daims, our presenter. First one is We Celebrate Democracy, Civil Rights for All banner will be going up on Main Street on Sunday the 2nd of September for Labor Day. And I always invite people to come and show their support for democracy and civil rights, and to exercise their strength in coming out to stand up for democracy. Second announcement, I have organized a rally for Labor Day, the 3rd, which is a Monday, at 5:30 p.m. in Pliny Park. And we hope for some political speeches and some songs for the peaceful revolution. Also on September 12th at the Brattleboro Democracy Forum, Nick Biddle and Tim Kipp will co-present on the topic of fascism. Is it here? How do we recognize it? And what are the consequences? And what should we do about it? It'll be a brief presentation followed by a group discussion. On the 26th, Martin Corbin, local Brattleboro musician and mainstay of the Brattleboro music scene, will be singing for democracy at the Democracy Forum. So with that, I'd like to welcome Rio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rio Daims. I'm 16 and I live here in Brattleboro. I'm a Youth Vote coordinator. The Youth Vote is an amendment that will allow 16 and 17-year-olds in Brattleboro to vote on local issues, to serve on the school board for the town, which is the elementary schools, and for the high school, Brattleboro Union High School. And also, it allows 16, 17-year-olds to serve on the representative town meeting in Brattleboro. It allows, I believe, 1 youth member on the representative town meeting and 2 youth members on each school board, so they can serve simultaneously on each school board. So we came across a problem in the petition about the school boards, and we thought that it might not be able to go on the BUHS school board because we would have we would have to bring more towns into the youth vote, because kids from 5 surrounding towns of Brattleboro also go to BUHS, and we thought that would give more representation to Brattleboro. But we discovered that it actually doesn't do that. It just gives Brattleboro a wider range of people to choose from to go on the school board from Brattleboro. But I think that that might be a good opener and a good idea to maybe expand to those 5 towns in the future, and maybe to the whole state, and then possibly to the national level sometime.
Sorry, are we allowed to ask questions at this point? I have a question regarding that. Should I wait?
I was thinking of questions after, but I guess we can have discussion throughout if that's fine.
I just want to, I'm just wondering that, so there's a certain amount of people that can serve on the
school board, and one of them could be a youth, but it's not necessary, it's not that there's a specific space for the youth.
Correct.
Okay.
So the youth have to go through the same process as any other person to get on the representative town meeting or the school board. They have to run, and it's not a reserved seat for 16, 17-year-olds specifically.
Oh.
It's for anyone, but they can be voted onto that just like anyone else can.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was a specific slot for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe that the youth vote should be a thing, be passed because 16-year-olds, at the age of 16, you are granted a lot of rights that are seen as adult rights and the things that adults do, such as have a job, get your license, pay taxes with your income, get a tattoo, get married, have a sexual relationship, get a GED, also get an abortion or an emancipation. So I think that since 16-year-olds can do all those things that 18-year-olds can do, especially emancipation, which would leave them literally being an adult on their own. Yes.
Not to mention the things that happen in our town and in our school directly affect us, so we should be able to have a say.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that if the youth are allowed to make all those life-changing decisions at age 16, it is, I think we should be given the right to make small inputs to political choices in the government. Then also at age 16, people have more stable living conditions than at age 18. They have most likely been living in the town that they're currently in for a longer amount of time. They're living with their parents who are also probably voters. They know their town better, but at age 18, a lot of people have just moved out and are just going to college for the first time and don't really know the town that they're in, don't really know the people that they're around, and they don't feel as connected with making decisions that directly might affect them. So they don't register to vote and they don't go out to vote because they're surrounded by a bunch of other people who are in the exact same stage of life that they are in, like in college dorms maybe. And so we think that since 16-year-olds are more secure, we should be given the vote young and started young, and maybe we can have that habit for the rest of our lives and bring up the voting, the amount of voters in where we live. And also, no taxation without representation, which is, I think, probably the biggest point that we've been thinking about, because most of the people my age that I know actually have a job or have had a job, and their incomes are taxed, and those taxes go into things that people vote on and affect them very directly. And I think that since we pay those taxes, we should make a decision on how those taxes are used in our town. So some people might say, I came across this a lot of times while collecting signatures to put it on the ballot, that youth aren't educated enough. I think a lot of people might be saying that because they're looking back on how where they were at this age. And I think it has changed a lot over time, and now there are a lot of youth who are very politically active, and who work on all these things all the time, and who educate themselves just so that they can go out and maybe speak at rallies or have intelligent discussions with people and be aware of all that's going on around them. Did you have something to say?
No, the only thing that I was thinking, and don't get me wrong, I'm not really that political, but a sort of electoral college for the young people that kind of makes it such that it's an average and it does count rather than the whole thing.
I'm not sure I understand you. I don't either.
No, I mean, you all count, but even the college students really, that electoral college thing is really not the truth of the matter.
You mean with
It's
18-year-olds going to college?
Yeah. For voting.
That's a different term, I think.
Oh, the electoral college.
Electoral
Right, but that
college.
doesn't have to do
Right.
with students in college, correct?
That doesn't have, yeah.
That's not really referring to college students.
And this is all on like a local level. So like if this passed, it would change like the town's charter. So like local, like Brattleboro kids could vote on like exclusively issues
On-
of the
yeah.
town.
Right, they wouldn't be able to vote for governor. They would be able to vote on town
Okay,
issues.
okay,
And so the whole electoral college conversation wouldn't even refer
okay.
to this issue.
No, that's okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think might prepare 16-year-olds if they start voting on a local level, and it will prepare them to vote on a national level or a statewide level.
And at 18, they would be able to vote for governor.
Yes.
Sure, yes.
Okay,
That
so this is
those
like a
laws-
precursor,
Right,
town,
Right.
and then to state level.
right, so it's like preparing them to be good citizens of, you know,
So
responsible
that's only fair.
voters.
That's only right, yeah.
So we have been working to gather signatures. We actually did a big push this past 5 days on the signature gathering. Now I will tell you about the whole problem that came up with the town government recently that brought us to this point that we're at. So back in 2015, the youth vote was worked on by Brattleboro Common Sense then, and sadly didn't pass. It went on the ballot, and the vote was very close, but it didn't pass. And there was the town attorney brought up a complaint against the petition that was resolved and ended up being okay, and he dropped what he said and said, okay, this is fine, actually, we can put it on the ballot. And then last Thursday, we turned in a big bunch of our petitions to be checked for the signatures, and the town attorney didn't remember that he had made that complaint once before and made the complaint again, and and he thought that, and then when he was reminded that he had made that complaint once before, he thought that it didn't get on the ballot last time when it actually had. And so we were brought to this point that we needed to have a meeting, have a scheduled meeting with the select board during one of their meeting dates to kind of resolve the issue again and make sure that it was okay to put on the ballot and see what they say about it, because usually for a petition that's going on a ballot, you don't need to have a scheduled time during a select board meeting. But it does go in front of the select board, and the select board will say, okay, all the signatures are here, let's put on the ballot, and then they send it up to go to the ballot, and then the ballot goes through. But if there's a problem, we have to go in front of the select board during a scheduled meeting time. So we were told last Thursday, the 16th, that we had to have a scheduled meeting with the select board, and we knew that, so this is a little bit of a complicated thing that happened this past week. We knew that the deadline to get all the signatures in, to get it on the November ballot, which is what we were planning, was Friday the 24th, this upcoming Friday in 2 days. And we had just collected a lot of signatures at the primary elections, and we were like, okay, good, we're on track. And then when we learned that we had to get on the select board agenda, we were told that the deadline to get all the signatures in for the select board meeting was that same day, 2 hours later. So, and we still had 150 more signatures to collect. So we were told we could either get it on the agenda for the Tuesday, the 21st, yesterday's meeting for the select board, or we could wait and get it on the agenda for the next select board meeting, which is after the deadline to get the youth vote on the November elections. So we were kind of disappointed. We knew that we couldn't get the rest of the signatures in 2 hours. And then we were called back and told that it was actually okay, we could still be on the agenda for the select board meeting if we got the signatures in the day before the select board meeting. So we were like, okay, yes, we can do this by Monday. Get the rest of the signatures, we can work hard collecting them. And we were relieved because we knew we could do that. But then we were called back again and told that we actually couldn't get all the signatures in on the Monday, and there was no chance of getting on the November ballot after all. So we took that, and we were disappointed for a little bit, and we thought that there was no chance of getting on the November ballot. But then we realized, okay, what if we just really try, get all the signatures by Monday, go in front of the select board during the public participation time of the meeting, and say we have all the signatures in, we have been pushed around by the town government, and on an issue that has already happened and already been resolved, and this is the reason why we have to come in front of you at all, and it's not fair for you to postpone this until March, which would be the next time to be able to get it on the ballot. So we got all the signatures by Monday, and we turned them all in to the town clerk, and she verified them all. And yesterday, we went in front of the select board. I spoke at the select board, and I told them the story about the town attorney and how he had brought up the same issue that was not actually an issue from last time and had forgotten. And then we had the deadline changed on us 3 times in a row, and then we were confused and we didn't know if there was a chance or not. And we said that either you just put it on the ballot and not pass judgment on it because that's not your job, it's the state legislature's job. Or you schedule another meeting, please, for, for a few days from now, which we know you can do because it's legal for them to send out a warning saying that they can schedule another meeting within, if they have 24 hours notice. So we said, please do that. And we were told for a few minutes, I was kind of disappointed because it looked like it wouldn't happen because one of the select board members was saying, oh, this is how we do it. You would just have to go on September 5th, which is our next select board meeting. We can put you on the agenda and we can get you on the ballot in March and it won't be a problem. And you can just do it then. And I said, well, we've been planning on November this whole time, and the whole reason that we're not getting on it right now is because of someone, the town attorney, forgetting that he had made the same complaint once before. And then one of the select board meeting members, Scholes, said, how about we schedule a meeting for Friday morning and we can check it over and then maybe put it on the ballot. And then 3 of them said that they were available, which is the majority, which is fine, to have a meeting about it, and they scheduled time. So that was a really big relief because it means that we have a big chance to get it on the November ballot. And then
That sounds really stressful.
yeah, I was pretty stressed out speaking in front of the select board, and I wasn't sure how it was going to end. And then they said they were going to have that meeting, and it probably means that it's going to be okay because it's just to put it on the ballot. It's not actually approving it or not. And then a man stood up and he said, oh, 16-year-olds, they've never had a job, they don't stand on their own 2 feet on their own, you know, they don't deserve to have a vote, and they're just stupid, they don't know things. And then the select board and my coworker Mark stood up and said, well, this is just to put it on the ballot. This isn't actually passing any, like, this isn't supposed to be opinionated, this is not an approval of it or anything, this is just putting it on the ballot. And then they said, okay, we'll have that meeting. So there's a meeting coming up, select board meeting 2 days from now at 9:30 a.m. on Friday the 24th. It's at the municipal building in the select board meeting room. It's public, and if you want to come and put in a few good words for the youth vote and say that we deserve to get on the ballot in November, that would be amazing. And I am really surprised that we actually got that meeting at all, because it looked like for a while that they were just going to go ahead with shaking us around and not really giving us good thought or consideration, but they did.
Can I ask you if that's kind of a special meeting? Will they have to warn that in the paper?
I'm not sure about the paper, but
They would just voluntarily maybe do it, but do they have to do it?
they have to warn it, but they I'm not sure about in the paper.
Okay, it's 9:30
Yes, 9:30 a.m.
and this Friday.
Yes.
Good girl. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say it's interesting that you pointed out this community member that spoke against the vote at the end of this discussion at the meeting last evening, and how you said this isn't really a time for opinions, this is really
about the process. It's really about just getting
The
the issue on the,
democratic process.
going through the and this being the democracy forum, it's like, this is the democratic process in action. And I think that's really important that you brought it back to that in that moment. Because it's not really voting on the issue itself, it's
Yeah,
putting it,
exactly.
it's getting it there in front of the people so the people can decide, and that's the process.
There was no big hullabaloo when I don't know if he was 13 years old who ran for governor. I don't remember
Yeah.
somebody getting up and saying, wow, no. Well, yes, yes. Thank God he didn't win.
To be honest, I think of things a little differently. But the law part of this, the person who had a problem twice, I believe that's just trying to help you. And in the end, you'll win. You'll get past it.
Oh, the town,
I
the
think
state
it's
attorney.
it's kind of a way, you're pliable. If the town, the whole political process has to mold a person to know that you're part of it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like being a carpenter or any other. You gotta know what you're doing, and I think they know that you do. Really.
It sounds.
Obviously, your goals are there. They show up. Something breaks down. It gets better again, and it just works.
It sounds though like the problem was solved once. And then the problem was the same problem
Yeah.
was presented to the same person who forgot that he resolved the problem.
Yeah, but we all get old.
Well, but you can't be legal advisor for the town of Brattleboro if you can't think through and remember, or at least admit, oh my gosh, I made a mistake,
Well,
I was wrong, let's proceed. No, the whole
was
thing
there
went
is
through
there
again.
paperwork twice? Do you have copies of paperwork twice?
I don't think it was a very technical matter. It was just something he brought up vocally. Like he called me
Okay.
when they were checking
got
the
it.
petitions and said, "Oh, I have this. I'm worried about this because there might be something legally wrong with this." And then he had forgotten that it happened once before. And I don't think it. To respond to what you were saying, I'm not sure if they would be able to just say, if he would be able to just drop it and then it would just be able to go on the ballot without going in front of the select board.
You mean a second time?
I think maybe the fact that he brought it up at all means that it has to go in front of the select board, even if he said that he was wrong. It means that there might be a problem and then it has to go in front of the select board. I'm not positive, but I think I get the feeling that might be the case.
Yeah,
I'd like to know-
You can't say that he's wrong because that would be weak.
I'd like to know how old you are.
I'm 16.
You are proof. You don't have to say, once you make the presentation, all you have to do is say, and I'm 16. And if people want to get up and make the comments like that man did at the meeting, like you don't know anything and you're not aware, and he's got the proof right in front of him that he's
Yeah.
Thank you.
horribly mistaken.
Just keep your shoulders high. You'll be fine. Doing good.
Rio, could I ask you, do you know what the problem was that the town attorney was concerned about?
Yes, it was on our petition. It says that the 16-year-olds and like anyone else have to take the voter's oath before they vote, and they have to take the voter's oath and be a registered voter, just like anyone else. And he made the complaint that the voter's oath is only for 18 and up. It says, apparently, he said that it was in the Constitution that the voter's oath is for only 18 and up, 18-year-olds and above. And that it might be a problem because it's legally impossible for a 16-year-old to take a vote that's for only 18-year-olds. I'm not positive about what the Constitution says about the voters oath, but I'm sure, but it was resolved last time, it has now been resolved this time, so I believe that
What is it?
it's actually okay.
What is it?
The voters oath,
Yeah.
it's just saying that I can't
I never took it.
recite, no,
I never took a voter's oath.
I think you
Never
take
heard
it,
of it.
you take it, you don't have to recite it, but you just sign.
So when
you
you
sign-
register to vote,
Yes.
you're signing an oth?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because we were registering a lady when we went out canvassing, and there was like a little box that said something about like,
It's a voters oath.
yeah, the voters
Yeah.
oath, and you just checked it off.
Like when I got my license, it asks you if you want to register to vote, and in it creation.
I see. Well, so then if you are if you get your license at 16 and you get a voter's oath, I mean, you can register to vote when you get your license only if you're 18 or older.
They only put it on your license registration if you're 18.
Okay, so now that we think that it will go past the select board smoothly, since they made that meeting, I believe that if people are willing to have the time to think about it, that they're going to pass it, I think, hopefully. I'm not going to get too confident. We are going to, in these next few months upcoming to November, we're going to try to get a lot of publicity about the youth vote, get people to go out and vote when it's actually on the ballot. We have some upcoming events. Me and my co-coordinator James are going to have a little informational event meeting thing at the library on the 28th of this month from 5:30 to 7 p.m. I'm not sure what room it's going to be in, but I'm sure it'll be posted there. We are also going to be tabling at the co-op on September 8th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. where people walk in and out, actually where they walk out from the co-op. And we're going to do a short presentation with the Putney Huddle on September 9th at 2:40 p.m. At Putney Public Library at 55 Main Street. And I believe that the Lieutenant Governor is also going to be there, with who, David Zuckerman, he endorsed the youth vote, and I can actually read you the quote. He says, "In a time when political cynicism is at an all-time high, it is great to see young citizens active and engaged in their communities. James, Rio, and others in the youth vote movement have been doing the hard work of knocking doors and gathering signatures in support of youth participation in their local town meeting. With the dedication, determination, and commitment of this group, I expect they will gather the 400 signatures required to put the youth vote amendment on the ballot, and I am hopeful local citizens will support it when they vote. Engaging youth in local decisions is a great way to instill a commitment to their community, bring in new ideas and energy, and to recognize the value they add to the region." So, if anyone has anything else to say, right now I would like to hear opinions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job.
Very well.
So grateful.
Thanks.
What's your policy on lunch and Do you mean to say that you thought 16-year-olds were more stable and at a better time in their lives to start voting than 18-year-olds?
Because 18-year-olds have just started college and they just moved out of their house.
Well,
a lot
some
of
of
times.
them anyway, but they,
No,
And they have more of an ability to like move out of town and like a lot of the time.
So stable as in physically stable in
Yeah.
their environment.
yeah,
Like
and they know
statistically-
more about the town that they're in a lot of times, and they feel more. They have parents who are voters, and they're
In high school,
Yeah.
in the
Maybe
town's
just
high
pinpoint.
school.
yeah, and also serving on the high school board is also a big thing because 16-year-olds are in high school and they get affected by what happens in the high school. And I believe that they should be on the school board because they are the ones being affected by the changes that are made by the school board.
I can't think of a better way to get 16-year-olds involved and interested in the politics of their town than telling them they can vote on it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what would be more of an incentive.
More relevant.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about the urgency for the November ballot versus March. Is that because that is higher voter turnout? Or is it more timing for once it passes and then when it becomes effective?
There are a lot of factors in that. There's the higher voter turnout. We want to see, more people and what the whole town thinks of it, rather than just a small amount. And also because we've been building up to that time for a while, and we think that it might lose momentum if we wait until after November, because we've been getting a lot of publicity these past few weeks, and we think that having it sooner will get more people interested, and I think if we have months and months of this, people might just get tired of it.
Yeah, and last time it was on the ballot, it was in March, and that was the time that it did not pass. And if I was to make a guess as to why it didn't pass, is because there was a lack of understanding in the voters about what it was. I mean, if you were to open up your ballot and see 16 to vote without any other information, if you might choose not to vote on it, or you might decide that no, because you don't have information on it. So if now, because there's this momentum and there's the publicity about it, people are aware of what they're voting about, I think that they're going to be a lot more likely to be in support of it.
Right, and being more informed, and you're doing a lot of outreach. And,
I had a comment I just wanted to mention. I also believe that the reason it didn't get accepted was it was lumped in with the pro-democracy amendments, which at that time we thought might be beneficial for it, but in all regards it should probably be on its own so that the people that do have awareness can feel stronger about voting for it, and with more people your age out in the community, and then would allow people to see that your age group was definitely capable of making decisions. So hopefully having it on its own might be an even greater benefit than how we had it with the pro-democracy amendments, which was of course sideswiped by the select board. So just watch out from every direction.
Also, I'm not sure, also as in response to your question about waiting for it to go on March, I don't know much about how fast the state legislature makes decisions, but I've heard that they make them faster in the winter than if we waited until March they probably wouldn't make the decision they probably would take another like 6 months or something to make the decision and to get back to the town in order for it to be actually put into action. And I just realized, the representative town meeting, I said before that one youth member is allowed on representative town meeting. It's actually, as many as are voted in and as many as would like to be, because also there have been in the past years 15 open seats on the representative town meeting because people aren't interested in the position or aren't trying to become town representatives. So, yeah.
Not, how old are you? You're 16 now, but when will you be 17?
In January.
January, which means then you'll be 18, 12.
Yes.
So March is really putting it right on the sidelines where you would end up being 18 and somebody who's 16 would have to take over.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
see
yeah,
what I mean?
that's a little bit of a personal thing that I was kind of thinking about for
Yeah.
the reason to get it on the November ballot because I want to be able to vote before I'm 18.
Right.
But it's bigger than that.
Yeah, that's,
You're thinking about, you said us.
yeah.
So you're talking about all. You have this thing about your arms and including it all, so
Yeah.
that's good. November.
Hopefully.
You got my vote.
Ms. Dines, did I say that right?
Yes.
What issues do you think youth 16 and 17 want to vote about? Won't they be bored with most things on the agenda, you know, the sewer district, the street light budget?
I'm not positive. I think I can only speak for myself for that thing, but it really depends on what's there, I think. For example, if I was able to vote when there was the plastic bag ban in Brattleboro, I think I would definitely want to vote for that because I know that plastic bags are very harmful to the environment. And definitely also, I think maybe the most interesting thing to youth will be the school boards because I know so many people are very unhappy with the way that the school treats the kids and just with the state that schools are in that they go to. And I think it's important also to have it on the elementary school board too, because a lot of people I know have younger siblings who are also not happy with the way that their schools are. And there aren't any young people on the school boards at the moment. There are probably no one under 40. So, yeah.
Just like a comment about the school board, the majority of it is men and they're all white people.
Yeah.
So,
There's no
like,
white people of color on the school board for the high school.
And the majority of them are white. I mean, the majority of them are men.
Yeah.
What issues do you plan to bring to the ballot as a member of your organization?
I'm not planning on bringing anything to the ballot right now.
Except the youth vote.
Yeah, other than the youth vote.
Not until she can vote on the matters.
Maybe a skate park wouldn't have taken so long if we had had some young people voting on some of those issues.
Maybe. I think let's see, I was thinking about this before, how the town spends a lot of money on things that don't even need repairs or anything. Like, there's this one very small road that I bike on my way to school, and I think they've paved that like 3 times in the last 5 years. And it hasn't even, and it's been fine every single time. There's just like one tiny pothole or something, maybe on the corner, on like way on the edge or something next to someone's driveway, and then they have to pave the whole entire road. Whereas in other places, the roads have been filled with potholes for years and years, and they haven't even tried to fix it at all. And just different, just a lot of things. I think I'll definitely try to get more, once this hopefully passes, I'll definitely try to get more involved in town issues, because I've been thinking a lot recently about national issues and global issues, but I haven't really before been involved in local issues, which I think this will help me get involved in that more.
One good local issue will go right out throughout. If you say something big, it'll go from town to town and
Yeah.
country to country.
And I think right now it seems really like immediate, like our generation and our town and stuff, but like hopefully once we can get like this ball rolling, like more towns and more acres,
Yeah.
and like
Exactly.
we'll be taught about actually voting, and and we'll have a amendment to their charter and stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that this will inspire some youth around in different places to start this in their town. I know that there are some other towns around the United States that are also trying to do this. There's a website called Vote 16 USA, and it shows all the different towns that are working on different things for 16-year-olds. A lot of them are, some of them are just getting them on the school board, some of them are just getting them to vote. But I definitely hope that this passing will help other places too, because they can see that this is possible.
Right, you can serve as a, what your work has laid the foundation for other communities, hopefully.
It's also just interesting when people, like when we hear like, oh, well, when I was 16, like I wasn't as smart,
Yeah.
like smart enough to do that, and like you guys are also young and like reckless, but like when they say that, there's no follow-up of like, so this is what we'll do to change that.
Yeah.
Or, like, or maybe you are smart enough, like, and it's kind of just like, well, if you're judging us and trying to make a change in the community of like schools teaching how to be humans
Yeah.
and vote.
The reckless, it still comes down to the vote.
I also think that, as Rio mentioned, that if you care to vote, you're going to educate yourself in
Yeah.
order to make
Yeah.
a smart decision. And if you are reckless and don't really care and aren't really interested in being part of the political process, then you're just going to remove yourself from even being a part of the voting process. So.
Right, it's a self-selecting group.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that one person voting recklessly isn't going to change the whole entire thing. Like, it's just one person maybe not knowing what the issue is that they're voting on. And I know that a lot of people, when I was at the polls, when I was at the elections, primary elections, this 2 Tuesdays ago, collecting signatures, a lot of adults came in, they were like, tell me who to vote for, I don't know anyone who's on this, and I was like, I don't know. Like, you have no idea about anyone who's on this ballot, how are you supposed to tell me that I shouldn't vote because I might not know people on the ballot? So, I don't know, it's just, and yeah, it's just that a lot of people immediately think of these responses to the youth vote that are easily applicable to everyone else who already is voting. So.
I would just say that it's easy to get discouraged about the state of our democracy today. And when I see and hear you and all the people who are working with you and support the young people who are working with you, it lets me know that there is hope for our democracy and that we can get out of this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the fact is, like, it's our future, so like the changes that are being made now are gonna affect like us.
Definitely.
When we're older.
Definitely.
And they're putting the last screws in my coffin to be president.
Oh, no.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think that concludes it. So thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks, Rio.
Good luck on Friday.
Good job.
Thank you.